talk about financial abuse and what it looks like in a marriage because it's a huge deal and it really doesn't get talked about very much. So financial abuse is when one person in the relationship has an imbalance of power involving money. And that can look like so many different things. It can even look like a husband or wife being responsible, but let's actually take a step back and I'll give you some examples. So when I got married, I very quickly became in charge of the bills. And I would always try really hard to keep my husband out of the bank account because if he logged in and saw that we had $1,000, he wouldn't stop to think, oh, hey, our rent is going to be $800 and then we're going to need to pay for utilities and groceries and things like that. No, he would be like, oh, we have $1,000. This bitch is always lying to me about the money we have. I'm going to go buy a new laptop. And then we'd have no money to pay the rent. But because I would panic and go cry and beg to borrow money from my parents, we never really had that comeuppance where rent did not get paid. So he never really learned his lesson about that. So I was always in a panic about needing to constantly watchdog the bank account. And there were points in time where I even said, you know what, here's your budget for the week. Because we need groceries, we have to pay bills, and you're not going to take any of that into account before you just swipe your debit card left and right. Like, this is not okay. And it made me have to be the parent over him, which was just so frustrating. And then he'd want you to hop in bed and get all sexy cozy. Like, no, nobody wants to crawl in bed with somebody that they have to treat like a child. And then at one point when I was getting a building intolerance for his behaviors, I was getting close to leaving him. And he picked up on this after one of our fights and decided that he was going to go take all of the money out of the bank account, our joint account, go start a new account at a new bank and only have his name on it. And he was like, well, now you're going to have to come ask me for money if you need something. Seriously, if you want to go buy groceries, you're going to have to get permission from me first. And then he said he was also going to take care of paying all the bills, so I didn't need to worry about that either. I never needed to see the money again. And mind you, this man also had these fits where he was like, I'm the man, I want to earn the money, I want you at home with the kids. And in a lot of ways, I was totally fine with that. I like being a stay-at-home mom. But again, he was not financially responsible. And when he decided to stop being a partner completely and cut me out of the money and treat me like I was some indignant child living off of daddy's credit cards, that was just so eye-opening for me. Because the only reason that I was kind of tight about the purse strings to begin with is because he would not be sensible about it and make sure that we had the money to survive before he bought stupid things. But his whole plan of him being in charge of the money and him handling all the bills and me being completely cut out of that process, do you know how that went? He did it for 1 month where he paid 0 bills. He ended up with all of these overdraft fees and late fees and all of this stuff. And then he could not get my name back on the bank account fast enough to handle all of this for him. But you know, now that he lives alone, he manages all of his money just fine to the best of my knowledge, because if he didn't, he would end up losing his job actually. So it's not that he could never do that. It's not that he could never budget. It's not that he could never think. It's that he knew if he didn't, and he acted impulsively, that I would swoop in and save the day and make it to where he never had to deal with anything and he never had to be responsible. So guys, remind me, all of you that like to come in and scream and moan that women this, women that, you need us men, what do we need you for? What are you doing for us that is worth the amount of heartache that comes with it?